I lost my job, and is it a second chance to follow a dream or something? Like a second chance for something else other than just to get a job, because that's the alternative. Just get a job. And I have already decided that I was going to take this as a second chance, an opportunity to explore other options for myself that would make me feel much more fully self-expressed in my life, to have a career that would fulfill that need in my life and have it be something that's of my own and can make somewhat of a living for myself. Now, I can understand tons of pushback for this, okay, but everybody's journey is different. I'm a different person than you, and different place in life, different beliefs, different lots of things, okay? I know the other side of this coin, which is more realistic or more logical, which is just to get a job, just get another job, just like a normal person, or whatever, just whatever, right? But if you don't know me, my job that I just lost is my first job in a very long time, in which I've had for more than a year. Prior to this job, I was an actor in New York for about 12-ish years, in which I never had a quote-unquote typical job. Everything I did was freelance. It was like a gig and it's done, a gig and it's done, for about 12 years, for the most part, except for one time. So I'm more of a creative person. I guess ideally I want to do something that I'm passionate about, maybe something creative, something artistic, something in the industries in which I am passionate about, which would be entertainment, for example. I'm also very much a performer in a sense. Performance art really speaks to me. I've done acting and dance, and as much as I love both, I don't know that acting doesn't come as naturally to me as I think it should if I intend to succeed in it, or in the manner that you would typically associate with being successful as an actor, in regards to talent and having a career, versus just being a personality and being put in front of a camera and being an actor by being yourself, right? I'm not talking about that. I love dancing, I love movement, but I was also never really great at that. I was good at what I did at dancing, but like as far as like, I'm not competitive in that arena. And as much as I also like to sing, for example, I am definitely not competitive in that department. So I just feel like, in regards to the arts, there's a lot of interest there. I am not amazing or great at any one thing, but something about it speaks to me, and which is why I feel like I lean towards more like performance art. It's something that's very intuitive for me, in aspects of how dancing and movement is very intuitive in just the act of casual dancing, or interpretive type of dancing, or just like improv type of dancing, I guess, if you want to say that, because you could construe as my saying that, oh, I'm good at dancing and therefore I should be great at learning choreography and doing technical dancing. And that's not what I mean by that. That's not what I meant by intuitive, that it comes easy to me in that manner. It comes, I feel like I have, what do you call it? You know, like with breakdancing, they talk about musicality. Something like that. It's something kind of instinctual. Can you follow the music in a manner that really makes sense, that seems very connected and emotional or whatever, you know? Well, musicality. That's kind of what I mean. But in all of my life, literally every single year of my life, in school, as I was growing up, through college, through after college, whatever, I've always never knew what I wanted to do with my life. I always took, you know, tests and strong interest tests and went to the career counselors and did all those things almost like every year, trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And there are results of those things that I've done that help me explore more, to figure out, oh, what can I do with this stuff as a more traditional job? I've done all of that brainstorming. I've also brainstormed, what am I actually good at? And what can that be as a job? Or what do I love doing? What can that be as a job? I've done all of these things. Brainstormed all the time, multiple times, created jobs, and something tells me that there's something else missing. Maybe I'm trying too hard. Maybe the answer is really much more simple. And this is what I'm actually trying this time, which is different in the past, because I normally would try to, you know, find something logical to be my job. I created this job based on these, the 5 attributes that I got from my strength finder, you know, strong interest test from Gallup or whatever, which is woo, arranger, ideation, inclusiveness, and intellection. This all basically means that I like to meet new people, get to know them, get them to like me, and then move on, meet more new people or something like that. Woo. And then ideation, I'm fascinated by ideas. I am passionate about ideas. Arranger means I like to organize and rearrange things to the best possible, you know, outcome, and rearrange them more when I find out a better way to do it, you know, something like that. Intellection, I really like to think, brainstorm. And then the last one was inclusiveness, or includer. I have a thing for wanting to include or be inclusive of multiple levels. Inclusiveness of thought, inclusiveness of ideas, inclusiveness in regards to social inclusion. Like I am very much aware when someone looks like they're alone, or I'm concerned that they might not feel included, or that they feel like they're outside looking in, or someone else is not speaking up or don't feel like they were being represented, or something like that. And then regards to ideas and thoughts, I do not like to leave anything out. I'm devil's advocate. I like to ask questions. I like to explore every nook and cranny of a possibility to make sure I'm including all potential factors that might be relevant, and sometimes not even relevant, because I am obsessed and I want to get all that information. So that's, and I thought about what could this job be, and I ended up narrowing it down to, oh, I want to be in, you know, when I thought about traditional jobs, I thought, oh yeah, I want to be in HR, in internalized training. That was my end result of that. If I were to go towards more traditional job, but that does not speak anything of like the industry that I would want to be in, which has a lot to do with more other interests that I have, other passions I have in entertainment, really almost all of entertainment, back of house and front of house, you know. So then I explored, what am I actually good at? It's like I told you, there are a lot of things I'm not actually great at, but I'm just okay at, that I'm passionate about. So then maybe I wouldn't focus on those, but maybe work in those industries. The things I'm good at, I really narrowed down to those 5 attributes I just mentioned. Those are things I'm kind of good at abstractly. Really. So maybe use those attributes in the industry that I desire. That is something logical. However, I also don't think I have the experience and background to be in those industries. So I would really have to work my way up from there. Otherwise, the other side of all of this is the idea that I was saying that maybe the answer is simpler. How do I feel more fully self-expressed and stuff like that? And if it has something to do with performing or some performance aspect, which is even putting myself on camera like this, right? Or doing the podcast and show that I do with my friend Laquita, Giggles and Games, if you haven't heard. That's also an experiment in discovering how to feel fully self-expressed in a manner that works for me. I've always had difficulty as a creator, as an artist, as an actor, as a performer, in creating my own work. Like as an actor, you know, people say, well, you should create your own work. And I always had difficulty doing that. The only time I've been able to do something like that is if it's more abstract, like performance art, you know, where some of it is a little structured, maybe the concept, right? Or the idea initially, and then the execution is, while it could be slightly structured, a lot of it is also intuitive and improv, which I super enjoy. And it's the same thing with movement and for dance. I'm not, when I talk about my passion and my own personal talent for dance, it's not in choreography. It's really just in moving, musicality, and expressing myself in the moment to music. But then how can I, you know, do these things as and make a living? How do I start that? You know, when I was in New York, I think the great thing is that there was so much opportunity for things like that. And I did do stuff like that, and it was so fulfilling. I loved it. It didn't matter if I made money or not, to be honest. But you need to make money to survive. Honestly, all I need is enough to pay the bills, the essentials, you know? I don't need much. I never really buy anything, and I've gotten used to not needing to buy anything because being an actor in New York and whatever, I kind of lived like I was a college student my entire life with no money, not knowing how much money I can make or how much money I had, how much I can afford. So I really didn't buy much, and I've gotten used to that, and so I don't really need much in my life, money-wise. But you have to start somewhere, and honestly, you didn't really make much money, so it didn't really end up becoming anything for me. Though I do feel like, man, I definitely want to jump back into, I would have wanted to jump back into those opportunities again in New York if I was how I'm feeling right now. Not that you can't do that anywhere else. I'm sure there's pockets here and there where I'm living, maybe I can find that. I'm also a homebody. I just don't go out and never get out there. So I bridged that gap by creating this show that I'm now doing with Laquita, which doubles as a podcast / show that I put up on YouTube, which allows me to do these things in a slightly more structured manner and without having to leave the house. It's, in a way, it's not the same as what I would traditionally consider performance art, in that, like, it's not like a curated space and I am gonna do my piece here or whatever. I do some, like, varying degrees of successful and unsuccessful improv in the show, which, like I said, this is all an exploration. Sometimes it just sucks. It's not good at all. Sometimes it's not bad. And sometimes it's really good. But it's all an exploration, trying to figure that out. And again, it was always hard to do this myself. And now that I've done it, because I've pulled somebody in to do it with me, I wonder, can I do that myself? I don't know, to be honest, but I would be willing to give it a try. And so my moving on from that, I ended up saying to myself, what else can I do for myself first? And then determine whether or not it could actually make money. And I thought about, shorts and YouTube videos or whatever, all these things that people are doing on social media and stuff. And all that has always been difficult for me too, because you have to create your content. And I've tried, and it didn't work out for me. And so, but then I discovered this idea that maybe you shouldn't worry so much about what is the content and needing to create it, and it becomes something that you don't enjoy doing. And so what speaks to me, like I said, the performance art stuff, all of that stuff, and how can I do that with YouTube or social media? I could do random videos, but instead I just got this idea from something else I watched, was that instead of worrying about what the content should be, start with the content being you. You are the content. Because originally, back in the day, I tried to do content for things I was interested in, music, comic books, movies, TV. And for some reason that was different. It felt like too structured and too much like I'm trying to make something, and it didn't work for me. Even though I like those things, I probably want to talk about them more casually, instead of like, I need to make this into an entertaining product, So maybe I'll move on to those things again someday. But first, instead of trying to make this product, or, this channel is about me talking about comics or whatever it is, I decided maybe instead of creating a product, that I am the content, I am the product. And so even though I didn't plan something necessarily or create a concept for a video in particular, I was going to do something like this. It's not new, other people have done it. It's just that I'm discovering this for myself, that it's okay to do this. And it's also, and it's an exploration. I could be doing this for years until I figure out something that actually works, that can actually make money, right? This could be my journey and my process into figuring that out. And in the future, this could be the story of, oh yeah, for years I did so many videos where I just did this and nothing came of it, but I kept at it and then I figured it out. Well, that's what this is. That's what my doing my live Tai Chi live stream is. I decided I wanted to start practicing Tai Chi. And I said, you know what? If I'm the product, this is me, this is what I'm doing, let me try live streaming it. And that slowly evolved to me talking during my practice, which I didn't at first. And what I would talk about is whatever I felt like talking about. And it helps me explore, like, what would my niche be? And my niche thus far seems to be talking about very philosophical type of stuff about life or whatever it may be. And I ended up creating a topic for my Tai Chi live streams, and then I talk about those things. And then that evolved to me doing shorts for the topic before doing the live stream, because before that I was also doing some shorts, and then but really essentially doing the same thing as just talking about whatever came to mind that I wanted to share and talk about. But then I ended up doing that in my Tai Chi, so then I ended up not doing any shorts anymore for that. And so I thought, well, why can't I do both? So that's why I started doing that. So it's all a evolution, it's all an exploration. I still don't know where it's going, but at least it's doing it in a manner where I feel like it's working for me thus far. It doesn't feel like something that isn't working for me, like the things I did in the past, which I was much more concerned about a finished product, of it being entertaining, of it, being more constructed and focused. If you look at my older videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. And there's a reason why I didn't continue doing those things. As much as I love the topics, the way I made them didn't come easy to me. So I think for many people who are afraid to start or have difficulty starting, I guess the point is to just do it. Even if no one watches, the whole point is it's an exploration for you, it's an exercise for you, and it is helping you. At least it's helping me. It's helping me to figure out how to do all of this. How do I feel fully self-expressed? What do I like? What do I want to talk about? Not that everyone needs to be successful on social media and do TikToks and YouTube videos, but as me, person who has a side of me that wants to explore and wants to feel fully self-expressed in this manner, in some type of performance that I've felt my entire life, that I've pursued my entire life prior to getting a job in the past 7 years. Yeah, I had this job for 7 years. Can you imagine? Can you believe it? I never thought I would ever have a job for that long that was considered a regular 9 to 5, where you sat somewhere and just worked, other than doing something artistic or creative of my own, right? I never thought I could do that. I just thought, I'm not built for that. I am not the type of person who could do that. And I don't want, for those who don't really know me and who aren't in the mindset of creatives, I don't want you to think like, oh, you're just spoiled or whatever. You just think like you don't have to work or whatever. I think that, like I said earlier, journey is different for every person, and not every person is the same. Same in that, like, when I thought, you do a 9 to 5 job, you do this and this and that, and I felt I could never do it. It's not that I'm just some kind of spoiled brat and like, oh, I can't do that, I don't want to work. It's not that, because if you think of it the other way around, my pursuing the arts for 12 years in New York, where I never had a regular job, never knew how much money that I was making, or how much I could afford, when my next job would be, having to live like, I didn't have much money, didn't have any security. Many times I didn't have health insurance. So for many people who in having to audition and having 99% rejection for years, many people would then also say, well, I can't do that, right? So my answer to that initial pushback would be that I don't feel I could do what you do, and you don't feel like you could do what I do, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing while you're doing what you're doing. So it's not, I don't think it's as simple as, Carl, just get over it, suck it up, and get a job. There's a position and a place for everyone. There are people who entertain in this world. There are people who are writers. There are people who are garbage men. There are people who work in retail. There are people who work in corporations. There are lawyers. There are judges. There are teachers. There are dancers, and there's performers. There's something for everyone. You know, you might not be built to be a magician, okay? But someone else is. Just in case I'm getting pushback for anyone listening to this video, okay? And it's my life, so, and you don't like it, you don't have to watch this either. So I'm just sharing my journey. I hope, I would imagine that there are others people like me, because I am the most indecisive person I know. And I think there are other people who are like this, who have difficulty figuring out their lives. And I am 48. When I was young, I didn't think that I would still be trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, okay? And surely I'm not the only one, right? Hopefully my journey continues and I will figure some things out. It's sometimes discouraging to think that maybe I won't, because, again, I'm 48, right? And like I said, I've always been on this journey, always, and haven't figured it out. But I feel that people do change and you do grow wiser, and things are different. It's not the same as it was when I was in college, in the regards of not knowing what to do with my life. I still don't know, but I feel like I'm ever so much closer. I'm definitely happier, right? So, but all of this came up because, you know, I have doubts now that I lost this 7-year job, in which I experienced the other side of it, where I, discovered I could have a job, a 9-to-5, and there was tons of security. I have health insurance. I have incoming money. Once a week, I know how much I make. I can afford things for the first time in my life. And it became very comfortable. I actually very much enjoyed it, until the job started to go downhill and I wasn't enjoying it. And then I started questioning myself and asking myself, what am I doing here? And then another side to that whole equation of discovering I could have this job and enjoy it, the caveat to all of that is, I feel like I was actually enjoying it. Sure, there's that security and all those things, but the job itself, I was enjoying it because I indulged some of those 5 attributes I had. The ranger, intellection. In my job, I organized the crap out of the things I was doing. And so, in a way, I was like a zombie on a computer and escaping reality and over-analyzing, over-organizing data that I collected in my work as part of my job. In fact, in a way, it's part of my job, but it's not, because no one asked me to do these things in my job. A lot of this organization and a lot of this data collecting and all the things that I did for work was actually not required of me. I made it into something I enjoyed by being super obsessive compulsive in collecting data, using my includer ability of including all the information, arranger ability and arranging all of this information, intellection to think a lot about it. And I worked on these things for this job constantly, even though it was not a part of my job. It wasn't asked of me to do any of that, and I just didn't. And so I filled all of my time doing that around the job that I actually did, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. But over time, I realized, you know how as a creative, you can at least justify being obsessive compulsive and in creating your art because the result becomes something very unique to yourself, and that it only is what it is because of the way you did it. But with a job, I don't know that that was really helping anybody else. It was only really just getting me into a zone of just working like a zombie, producing, not even for the job, not even for the company, because it didn't do anything for them, really. And what was I doing it all for? What was it all for? All it did was really kill time. Because at the end, what product do I have? What do I have to show for it? The job that I have, the security, all that, I would still have that if I didn't do the part that I really enjoyed. I didn't have to do any of that, but that part I enjoyed, it didn't become a product, a piece of art or something that I could share to say that you did this as an art, or I was fully self-expressed in doing it. It really was just me avoiding life. That's what I ended up determining it was kind of like. Because it's easy for me to just zone out and obsess over something. And so I realized, yes, I enjoyed this job, but what I really was doing was avoiding living, avoiding life, because it produced nothing. It ended up being nothing. It's kind of like playing a video game all your life, and as much as you're enjoying it, you're not making any progress, okay, in life, in a way. Sure, you could say there are benefits to playing video games, sure, but I think in moderation is probably best. You can gain lots of skills and abilities and, mental thought processes, spatial stuff, reaction timing and stuff like that, with games, or maybe there's puzzles, so there's stuff with your mind. So there are benefits to playing video games. I don't mean in that sense, but in the sense of just like, you could just play a game and just zone out. And then when you're done, sure, you had fun, whatever, you did some brain exercises, but at the end of the day, really, it could be to the point it's become a detriment. Like when you do anything to an excess, it could become a detriment. So that's what I mean. I love video games, so don't get me wrong. So I feel like I was doing my job, being OCD in it, obsessive, to my detriment, because it wasn't leading to anything. So I was no longer living. I was just a zombie. And I realized, as much as I enjoyed doing that job, being that zombie, and then just coming home and then enjoying my life, which I was, once that job started going downhill, I really started to question my entire idea for work and that. And so, in any case, I'm just feeling like I'm justifying everything that I'm doing and saying to someone else, like, just in case, because this is being recorded, and so I don't want people to like watch this and then get the wrong idea or something. I want to lay it all out because I'm an includer. I want to include all aspects, the devil's advocate in me. I'm sure this is not even as thorough as I like. This is all just off the cuff. So, like if I were to write it down, I'd be reorganizing all my thoughts and make it into a freaking document that's bulletproof, ideally. But in any case, I lost a job, and so I thought of this as a second chance in exploring that other side of me that isn't about just getting a job. But the impetus of all of this, I was just trying to get to that, and I ended up going elsewhere. But all of this to say, again, is that doubts arose as they do. Even though I made the decision to explore, I decided maybe I'll reassess on November 1st after exploring some more. Because how long can I do this without making any money, right? And then things come up, like a wedding that I was invited to, that I was hoping on going to. I was also hoping to go to New York. And this is all in the same time. This coming October, there's a wedding. And then there's a trip to New York that I was going to go to. And also go to New York Comic Con. All of a sudden, I started getting kind of a panic attack because money. Going to do these things is not necessarily in service to my exploration that I'm talking about, in which I can justify not just getting a job, because I'm going to spend some time, give myself some time to explore and try to see if I can figure something out. And if I don't, guess what? I have the rest of my life to work, and if I really wanted a job, I can get a job. I'm not saying it's a job I'll like, but if that's all I wanted was some security, a job, I can get a job. And then I can work at getting a job that I want or whatever. But that's, I feel like, almost the easy way out. That's easier to do than to try to pursue whatever it is I'm pursuing. I'll just call it a dream, because it's a dream. And dreams are illogical, and dreams seem illogical, I mean. And dreams could be anything, and you may not even understand what they are. And honestly, I don't. I've been trying to figure out what this dream is my entire life. And I'm trying to figure it out again. But I feel like I'm older and wiser now, and I'm looking at it slightly differently. And so I'm just kind of going for it. Hence, again, these videos and stuff like that. But these doubts came up recently. And as I do, I like to meander and think out loud. And I think I just need some reassurance, some encouragement to keep going. That it's okay. That it's okay to be scared. Scared of never figuring it out. Not knowing what to do. Like, for now, do I just choose to go to this wedding, go to this trip, and go into my savings and deplete it more? And just have faith and that everything will work out? Or do I choose to not go to this wedding and not go to New York because, Carl, you don't have the money, and so you shouldn't go, and you should focus on this exploration that you seem to be taking and figuring things out, and you only have, or you've given yourself only until November 1st to figure it out before needing to reassess, before possibly needing to just get a job. Are you wasting your time? Should you not go to this wedding? You know, things like that. But there's, that's really complicated, because if it was just affecting me, that's fine, but it's somebody else's wedding that I'm choosing not to go to. I guess the New York thing is just me. I guess it's not for anyone else, really. So that, you can argue, is maybe you shouldn't do it. I'm the master of indecision. What to do. So I think I've convinced myself to not give up. But like I said, the reason why these doubts appeared is because of my struggle, whether or not to do these other things. that will cost money. It's really hard, especially now that I've experienced having a full-time job in which I really had the money to do whatever I want for a time. And I could totally just say, like, yeah, I'm going to go to New York, or yeah, I'm going to go to this wedding. I have the money because I have a job. That's definitely many people's argument in regards to following your dreams and whatever. Get a job and use that money and your extra time to follow your dreams or do what else you want. That's many people's answer. But it doesn't have to be everyone's answer. Am I being stubborn? Am I being unrealistic? Like I said, I'm 48 now. I'm seeing this as a second chance. You can't take second chances and go half-assed. I can't take the second chance and just run back to getting a job for the security and take the more logical, easy way out, okay? Which is, yeah, get a job and then do those other things on the side or whatever, right? It's my life. I have the rest of my life to work. Why can't I take the time now to see if I can pull off something else for myself? I like to think out loud, so I'm really just talking to myself, and if it speaks to you, awesome. If not, I hope I can open your mind to some other ideas. Where am I going with this? I mean, I still don't know the answer when I talk to myself in regards to, should I go to this wedding? Should I go to New York? Money, money, money. Technically, I have savings. Technically, that is also money. Is the answer to be like, there you go, Carl. You have money. Use it. Why are you saving it? There you go. You answer your question. You solve your problem. All my life, like I said, prior to this job, I lived like a college student. So I'm really, really, really good at being thrifty, saving money, and not spending money. So there's a reason why I was able to save all this money in the past. So it's not as simple as saying, like, I'm being irresponsible and I'm just, if I spend the money, I'm spending the money irresponsibly, because I've been so responsible with my money so that I have this money. And this is the money that's going to help me make it through this exploration. And my decisions in the past have been all right monetarily, financially. The times where I decided not to spend money and just save it. The times that I decide to buy something. I never buy anything, but when I do buy something, I make sure it's the best. Or it's something I really want, and so I can afford it because I saved the money to do it. So I'm basically arguing with myself back and forth about whether or not I should spend this money to go on this wedding and go to New York. That's basically what I'm doing. And I'm trying to defend myself in the decision to spend the money if I do, by saying that I've been very responsible with money in the past and have saved all this money. So I should be okay if I make the decision to use it, because based on past experience, I've been really good with money and I should be okay. Maybe that's the answer, because I'm the one who knows myself the most. Anyone else who's watching this who give me pushback, they probably don't know me very well, or they don't know me enough to know these things. And so the logical answer would be like, of course you don't go. Of course you don't spend that money. You need to save it. Because they don't know that history of how good I've been with money and how I spend money. But does that really matter? I think it does. You know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who watches this. It doesn't matter who comments under it. It doesn't even matter. None of that matters. I'll do what I want, right, at the end of the day. But feel free to comment. And you know what? I also believe that I'm going to be okay. I truly believe that. And so if it's my decision, one way or other, I'm going to be fine. So maybe now I'm talking myself out of ever being too doubtful or talking myself down from panicking, because I need to realize that all my decisions thus far in the past, whether or not they be good or bad, have led me up to this point, and I am okay. I do have that money saved. And I've been very good at saving. To the point I actually gave money away, you know, in the past to friends. Money has never been important to me outside of just having enough to pay for essentials and stuff. Like, I gave a friend a lot of money, and I didn't think it was that much at the time. It was almost half of my savings at the time. I didn't think it was much. But now I realize maybe it's more than I think. It goes back and forth, because I think about now that when I got this job, the job that I lost, how long it took me to make that money. On the complete other side, though, if you're successful at something, at your own business or whatever, the other whole side of that is like someone like Jason, who's now working for himself, who quit his job over a year ago and is succeeding, making more money than he used to make. He could get a gig. Or I could even just talk about myself in acting in the past. I could do a gig that could be for one day or whatever, a really, really good gig, and make all that money in just one day. So I guess in that sense, like if you were there, you'd be like, yeah, it's not that much money. So I guess it really depends on where you are. Obviously, with the job that I have lost, it took me a very long time to make that money. But it's also an entry-level job. I had no prior work experience, really. And so I had to go entry-level, and yeah, it took me a long time to make that money. But if I were to do something else for myself, like my own business, or if I was more successful as an actor, I probably could have made that much money much quicker. Who's to say what to do? Everybody has their own journey, as I said like 3 million times. You go that way, I go this way. It's fine. I mean, honestly, who's even watching this now? It's like 50 minutes in. I'm just going all over the place. That's why I call it meandering. I like thinking out loud. And as my live stream, as I've said in my live stream also, it's really, really just for me to be able to bounce my thoughts to myself, to the universe, out loud. Even if no one watches this or listens to me, it's definitely serving a purpose for me. It's like going to therapy. Doing the Tai Chi thing and speaking then, being able to speak to myself, holds me accountable to doing it also, which has led me to do this. I've never done this before. Just talk at a video and then put it out there. It'd be interesting if this speaks to anybody. I wish it was much more coherent, and I wish my thoughts were more organized so that it could be more useful for someone else to hear. But again, if no one does, it's fine. I think it was good for me. But I think ideally, as part of my exploration, it'd be great if I could make something out of this somehow. I think it's time to go. I'm feeling it. I feel better now. I'm still gonna question myself though. Probably ask everyone I know for an opinion. I've always done that growing up. Since I was so indecisive, I'd ask everyone for their opinion. And I'd be that type of person who would have such difficulty making a decision. The cats want to go outside. Not outside, but you know, they're at the door. They hear Jason. They're like, I want to go out there. What was I saying? Oh my god. I want to finish my thought. What was I saying? I actually stopped the recording and went back to listen to myself, see if I could catch what I was saying to continue. But even then, I was like, I think I'm fine. So, I just want to thank myself for doing this. I think it was helpful. And again, man, if anybody else is watching this, I am super grateful, thankful, and I really, really hope that you stuck with this because it spoke to you, and that I'm not alone out there. And if it does speak to you, hey, you're not alone. We're on this journey together. I have a few friends who I feel like we're on this journey too, and I've always been like, we should do a thing together. We should talk about these things. These friends of mine are such inspirations. Olive, Michael, and Amy. I feel like in a sense, we're cut from the same cloth, but not in the same design. You know what I'm saying? We're not exactly, the same. But I know that we all are on this journey, and to varying successes. And I love what everyone's doing in our exploration. Very inspirational. Inspiration. I live and breathe, consume inspiration. That's the thing that keeps me going a lot of times. Inspiration. I find it in everything I see, smell, hear, and breathe. Oh, I gotta let these cats go outside or something. They're like, all right. As always, super cliche, peace, cliche, love, and understanding, just like the song. Okay, but it's true. Next time.